the European Parliament was holding a special session to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. That was the 1998 deal that enabled the peace process in Northern Ireland to start after 30 years of conflict, costing more than 3,000 lives. The approach to the anniversary has been marked by an increase in tensions, however. British authorities have raised the terrorist threat level in Northern Ireland to severe, meaning security forces expect an attack imminently. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised the progress made in the province since the Good Friday Agreement was signed, but recognised that not all wounds have been healed.
So today, we don't just gather for commemoration, but for a new commitment to keep working for reconciliation in Northern Ireland, in spite of all setbacks, for the next 25 years and way beyond. The UK may have left our union, but peace remains the European promise.
Well, let's look backwards and perhaps forwards to progress in Northern Ireland with Dr. Conal Parr, who's Assistant Professor in History at Northumbria University. He joins us from Northern Ireland's capital, Belfast. Welcome to DW. We'll start with the Ursula von der Leyen there. Why do you think the EU is concerning itself with an anniversary of a deal struck in a part of a country that is no longer in the bloc and has only just settled lingering issues related to the province and its departure from the EU?
Well, thank you. Firstly, thank you for having interesting way to start this. I think the main thing to explain is that even though the United Kingdom has left the European Union, there is a strong sense in which it still has a kind of responsibility, or feels a sense of responsibility, to what's occurred in Northern Ireland in the past, in terms of a very serious and intense conflict for 3 decades and more, and of which there is an ongoing legacy. And also remembering and recalling, importantly, that the Republic of Ireland, Ireland is a very proud member of the European Union and has a lot of its stake and interests with Northern Ireland bound up in the future well-being of Northern Ireland. So there's a strong sense in which the European Union, between that sort of sense of responsibility to a very valid and proud member, and also having an awareness of the past and the way that the rumbling problems in Northern Ireland threaten the future.
Right, and it's interesting how those problems in Northern Ireland, as various elements there tried to secure independence from Great Britain. It's interesting how it became international. Joe Biden has also indicated that he's accepted an invitation from the UK Prime Minister to visit Northern Ireland to commemorate the same anniversary. And President Biden has a particular interest in Northern Ireland affairs, doesn't he?
He does indeed. And now, listen, I mean, there are a number of US presidents over the years, of the almost 50 US presidents. They reckon around a half have some kind of a connection with Ireland in their past, in their DNA, and especially, by the way, with the Northeast region, what the Americans call the Scots-Irish. So Biden is, however, perhaps the president who is most associating himself with a commitment to Ireland and with an Irish identity. That was always a part of his appeal and his base in Delaware politics and in American politics, which he's always built on, and as a Catholic as well. And obviously, going back to JFK, there are a number of presidents and even people like Nixon and Reagan as well who have that ancestry. But I think the important thing with Biden, as you say, is that he has that commitment to Northern Ireland and to looking at the situation in a way that not all presidents do. That some of them pay kind of lip service to it, but to be honest, Biden is somebody who's made it clear that Northern Ireland is, like Bill Clinton did before him, something that is very close to his heart, and something that he's going to devote time and energy to. And therefore, you can see why, in terms of the Brexit negotiations around that time, Biden made a number of statements which were sort of saying that, make sure that Ireland is not shafted in any deal that comes here, and the United States will play a role in protecting Ireland in that situation as well.
OK, so now we have 25 years of relative peace there in Northern Ireland. It's easy to presume that peace is now the default and that an outbreak of hostilities is unthinkable. But is it?
I think that, firstly, I mean, it depends how pessimistic you are on these things. I'm afraid a lot of us who've spent enough time looking at Northern Ireland know that it is still a very divided society. You have to remember that there are still over 100 peace walls, as they're called, which is a bit of a misnomer. It's a bit of a thing to say, which is a contradiction in terms, but they do actually keep the peace, and there is a very divided education system, still very low number of mixed marriages, for instance, and so hostilities are always something you feel could break out in the future. There's no question that we're away from structured violence between the communities as there used to be, and I think not in any close imminent danger of that at the moment. That being said, we still worry about things. As you pointed out, the threat level was raised by MI5 2 days ago from to severe, and also some of your viewers will be aware that a senior police officer named John Caldwell was shot a number of times in Omagh, County Tyrone, which had been the scene of a very well-known bombing in 1998, the Omagh bombing. So these little echoes and ripples of the past always kind of remind us that it's there.
And so, with your historian's hat on and your crystal ball at the same time, looking backwards and forwards, do you detect a direction of travel in the province's affairs, whether that be to remain as part of the UK or indeed to become part of a united Ireland?
Well, this is the million-dollar question. I think, to be fair, what I would say on this is that Northern Ireland's status has changed because of what was the backstop and then the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. And as you said earlier, the Windsor Framework is the other mechanism, which does give Northern Ireland an interesting status where it is technically not quite in the United Kingdom, and if there is a border in the Irish Sea, which is the thing that unionists so resent at the moment, and which are a number of protests and quite a fair-sized rallies going on at the moment. So there's no question that because of the demographics, because the Catholic population has now started to outgrow the Protestant population, and there is a majority in that direction, that some people see that as the clock is ticking towards the United Ireland. But remember, the identity is very complex, and I think above all what people will do in Northern Ireland is what they've always done, which is to prize peace and that kind of grassroots peacemaking above all else.
Good talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Conal Parr from Northumbria University.